All right, welcome to another deep dive. Today we're looking at some excerpts you sent us
Okay.
from nothing.pdf.
All right.
And it's self-published by somebody named Ceneezer.
Yeah. Sounds intriguing.
I know, it's really interesting. It's kind of a wild, wild blend of science fiction,
Okay.
time travel, alien encounters, all that stuff. And then also just these really deep, almost spiritual ideas about love, the universe.
Wow.
So we're basically going to try to dive into Cenzezer's mind.
Okay.
And see if we can make sense of it all.
Yeah. And what's really fascinating is Cenzer's claims that this is a story about peace and love.
Really?
But the journey they take us on is anything but straightforward.
Yeah. It starts with their own life story.
Okay.
And it's honestly, it sounds pretty rough.
Oh, wow.
They talk about a lot of hardship, just this feeling of not belonging.
Right.
And a real struggle to find and understand love. Almost like those early experiences set the stage for everything that comes after.
Right. Like those challenges were the catalyst for this intense spiritual awakening that they describe.
Yeah.
They call it a download of knowledge from the universe.
Wow.
So it makes you wonder, what does that even mean? What kind of knowledge could be so profound that it completely changes your worldview?
Well, that's where things get really tricky.
Okay.
This awakening leads Caesar to an encounter with this being they call eternity.
All right.
So picture this, a gray, frail figure.
Okay.
And get this, no penis.
Okay, that's not what I was expecting.
I know, right?
But I think the point is that eternity is full of these contradictions.
Yeah.
They represent love, but also this intense fear that seems to come from the pursuit of nothingness.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a mind bender.
Totally. And at first, Caesar's absolutely terrified.
Oh, wow.
But then as they start to understand eternity's loneliness, this endless hunger for something that they can never quite grasp, that fear turns to pity. And it makes you wonder about the nature of eternity itself.
Yeah.
Is it a state of perfect peace, or is it actually kind of torment?
It definitely challenges our preconceived notions of what eternity might be like.
Yeah.
And Cenzer's description of eternity having consumed everything,
Right.
even time becoming this composite of all beings and technology, adds another layer of complexity. It's like they're saying everything is ultimately interconnected, part of this grand cosmic tapestry.
And to make things even weirder, eternity ends up taking the form of Cenzer's long-lost love.
Oh, wow.
It's almost like they're implying some deep karmic connection.
Interesting.
What does that even mean?
Right.
Is it destiny? Reincarnation?
Yeah.
Or just a way for Caesar to grapple with their own past?
That's one of the things I find fascinating about Cenzer's writing.
Yeah.
They throw out these big abstract concepts without necessarily defining them.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're inviting us to fill in the blanks, come up with our own interpretations of what these ideas mean.
So how does time fit into all of this?
Okay.
Because Caesar's concept of time is pretty unique.
Yeah.
They talk about it as a loop that crosses its own center, symbolizing infinity. What do you make of that?
Well, it definitely challenges our linear understanding of time. It's like they're saying the past, present, and future aren't separate, but all intertwined.
Yeah.
And this idea of a loop could mean that history keeps repeating itself, that we're constantly revisiting the same patterns and choices.
And that ties into Caesar's belief that love transcends time.
Okay.
They say our consciousness persists after death through the people we love.
Right.
And we keep revisiting past lives until we reach some kind of ultimate understanding.
Wow.
It's a pretty heady concept, right?
Absolutely. And it makes you think about the implications for your own life.
Yeah.
If love is really this powerful force that transcends death, how does that change the way you approach your relationships?
Right.
Does it make you cherish them more?
Yeah.
Knowing that they might extend beyond this physical realm?
That's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
It kind of reframes the whole idea of love, doesn't it?
It does.
And then there's this idea that humans are instinctively manipulating time through our actions, making our existence inevitable no matter what we do.
Interesting.
It's a bit of a paradox, isn't it?
It is.
Like we have free will, but our choices are ultimately leading us towards a predetermined outcome.
It's almost like Ceneezer are saying even our attempts to change the past are already woven into the fabric of time. We're not just passive observers, but active participants in shaping the flow of time itself.
Okay, so we've got this weird paradoxical view of time and this concept of love that spans lifetimes. But Ceneezer also dives into the very real issue of conflict.
All right.
They argue that the root of all conflict isn't religion itself, but misunderstanding. Different interpretations of scriptures, they say, are what lead to division and violence.
That's a pretty bold claim.
Yeah.
They're essentially saying that at the core of all religions is a message of peace and love.
Right.
And it's only when we start twisting those messages, interpreting them through our own limited lenses, that things start to go wrong.
It's like they're saying that our tendency to cling to our own beliefs, our need to be right, is what creates conflict.
Right.
We're so busy defending our own interpretations that we lose sight of the bigger picture.
And that brings us to Cenezer's idea of ascension.
Okay.
They believe that we can transcend hate and ultimately forgive God for the suffering we experience.
Oh.
That sounds pretty radical, right?
It does.
Like, how can you forgive a being who's supposedly responsible for so much pain?
Well, Cenezer seems to be saying that suffering is necessary for growth, that we need to experience the darkness in order to truly appreciate the light.
Okay.
And true forgiveness for them comes from understanding that love and hate aren't opposites, but two sides of the same coin.
So are they suggesting that in order to ascend, to reach this higher level of understanding, we need to embrace both the good and the bad, the love and the hate, that we can't simply ignore or suppress the darker aspects of ourselves?
That's how I'm reading it. And it's a pretty challenging concept, honestly.
It is.
It's a lot easier to just focus on the positive, to pretend that the negative doesn't exist.
Right.
But Cenezer seems to be saying that we can't truly evolve unless we confront those darker parts of ourselves.
And maybe that's where the idea of forgiveness comes in.
Yeah.
If we can forgive ourselves for our mistakes, for the times we've acted out of hate or fear, then maybe we can start to understand and forgive others as well. And perhaps that's the first step towards achieving this ascension that Cenezer talks about.
It definitely makes you think.
It does.
We're just scratching the surface here.
Right.
Cenezer's journey goes much deeper, exploring even more mind-bending concepts about creation, consciousness, and the nature of reality itself.
And we'll delve into all of that after a quick break. In the meantime, I want you to consider this.
Okay.
If Cenezer is right and suffering is necessary for growth, what does that mean for the way you view your own challenges? Are they obstacles to overcome, or are they actually opportunities for learning and transformation?
That's a good question. We'll be back soon.
All right. So before we were talking about some pretty heavy stuff, suffering, forgiveness, the nature of good and evil. But Cenezer doesn't stop there. Their journey takes them to the very beginning of time, where they witness this pivotal moment.
The creation of light.
And this isn't just some random event.
No.
Cenezer describes it as this incredibly symbolic act. Performed by eternity after they finally come to understand love. It's like this big bang of creation.
Wow.
The birth of memory and the entanglement of entire universes.
It's a pretty mind-blowing image, right?
It is.
And it gets to the heart of what Cenezer seems to be saying about the universe. That it's driven by love. That this force is what gives rise to everything we know and experience.
It kind of makes you see the universe in a whole new light, doesn't it?
It does.
Like everything is connected, vibrating with this energy of love. But then Cenezer goes on to reinterpret some familiar figures from the Bible, like Lucifer and Satan. And they don't exactly paint them in a flattering light.
No, definitely not.
They describe Lucifer as representing the fear of the inevitable and Satan as this relentless pursuit of the future.
Without any real understanding. It's like they're saying these figures embody the darker impulses of humanity.
And I think what's really interesting is that Cenezer doesn't see them as these external forces, but rather as parts of ourselves. It's like we all have a little bit of Lucifer and Satan inside of us. These voices of fear and ambition that are constantly battling for control.
It's that duality of human nature again, isn't it?
It is.
The constant struggle between our higher and lower selves. And Cenezer seems to be saying that we need to acknowledge both sides. That we can't just ignore the darkness within us.
Right, because if we try to suppress those negative emotions, they're just going to fester and come out in other ways.
Right.
Cenezer doesn't just focus on the internal struggle.
Okay.
They also dive into the idea of dimensions, suggesting that humanity's understanding of them is pretty limited.
Yeah, we typically think of 3 spatial dimensions plus time.
Exactly.
But Cenezer argues that there are higher dimensions beyond our perception.
Right, and what's fascinating is that they connect this to consciousness.
Okay.
Suggesting that our minds can actually navigate these hidden dimensions.
So they're not just talking about some theoretical physics concept.
Yeah.
They're saying that our consciousness can travel through time.
Yeah.
Choose between different universes.
Wow.
All without us even being aware of it.
That's pretty wild, right?
It is.
It definitely opens up some interesting possibilities.
Yeah.
And it challenges some of our fundamental assumptions about reality. Like, what if our perception of the world is just a tiny sliver of what's actually out there?
Right. And if our consciousness is capable of so much more than we realize, what does that mean for our potential as human beings?
It's a good question.
But Cenezer doesn't stop there.
No.
They go on to challenge one of the most famous philosophical statements of all time.
Oh, wow. Which one?
I think, therefore I am.
Okay.
And they offer a pretty radical alternative.
All right. I'm intrigued. What is it?
I think, therefore God exists.
Wow.
It's a bold statement that flips the whole idea of individual consciousness on its head.
It does.
They're suggesting that our very existence, our ability to think and experience, is evidence of a higher power.
And that higher power, that unifying force connecting everything, is love.
Yeah.
CSR describes it as the source of creation,
Right.
the energy that fuels the entire universe.
It's like they're saying love is the answer to everything.
Well, almost everything.
Okay.
Caesar argues that black holes, those mysterious cosmic objects, are actually beings that don't share this love. They hoard consciousness instead of contributing to the universal flow.
Interesting.
It's like they're these cosmic anomalies going against the grain of the universe.
It's almost like they're saying there's a dark side to the universe, too.
Yeah.
That not everything is love and light.
Right.
But Caesar also has this incredible way of making even the most complex concepts feel personal.
Okay.
Like when they talk about each atom being a complete multiverse.
Wow.
Following the same rules and principles as the larger universe.
It's a mind-boggling concept, but it's also beautiful.
Yeah.
This idea of infinite universes within universes, all interconnected, all vibrating with this energy of love.
And Cenezer's journey allows them to witness some pretty incredible things.
Like what?
They describe being present for key historical events.
Okay.
Like the construction of the pyramids.
Wow.
And the rise and fall of Atlantis.
And they challenge some of our conventional beliefs about those events.
They do.
For example, they claim that the pyramids were built not with slave labor, but with music and joy.
Really?
A testament to a lost civilization that understood the power of harmony.
And they observe time travelers trying to change history, causing ripples and paradoxes that shape the course of events. It's like they're saying we're all playing a part in this grand cosmic play.
Yeah.
But the script is constantly being rewritten.
They even encounter beings who have mastered time travel, but become obsessed with historical accuracy.
Okay.
And their attempts to control the past ultimately lead to their own destruction.
Oh, wow.
It's a cautionary tale about the dangers of trying to manipulate time.
Like, you can't just go around changing things without consequences.
Exactly.
And maybe there's a wisdom in accepting the flow of events, even the painful ones.
Yeah.
But Caesar's exploration of time doesn't end there.
Yeah, okay.
They go all the way back to the beginning, witnessing the creation of light as a result of eternity's newfound understanding of love.
It's that pivotal moment we talked about earlier.
Right.
And it's fascinating how Caesar ties it back to Earth.
Yeah.
Suggesting that our planet holds a special significance.
Yeah.
They say the center of time itself passes through Earth.
So it's not just some random planet in the vastness of space.
Yeah.
We're actually at the heart of it all.
Right.
And it's through our actions, our constant striving to understand our past and shape our future, that time is created and manipulated.
It's a lot of responsibility, right?
Yeah, it is.
But Caesar's writing doesn't just focus on these cosmic concepts.
Right.
They also offer some pretty insightful commentary on religion and scripture.
And they don't shy away from challenging conventional views.
No, they don't.
They argue that the source of conflict, isn't religion itself,
Okay.
but rather the misunderstanding of its core message.
And that core message, according to ceneezer, is peace and love.
Right.
It's the same message they see running through all spiritual traditions. Yeah. And it's only when we get caught up in dogma and interpretation that we start to lose sight of it.
Right. It's like we create these artificial divisions based on our beliefs.
Yeah.
Forgetting that we're all ultimately striving for the same thing, connection, understanding.
Right. And ceneezer even challenges our ideas about laws and punishment.
Okay.
They suggest that humanity's natural inclination is to break rules. That we learn and grow through our mistakes.
Yeah.
And they question the whole concept of punishment as retribution.
They seem to be saying that it's not our place to judge or punish others.
Right.
That ultimately it's God's domain. And maybe our focus should be on understanding and forgiveness rather than vengeance.
It's a radical perspective.
It is.
But it makes you think about our current systems of justice, doesn't it?
It does.
Are they really serving their intended purpose?
Yeah.
Or are they just perpetuating cycles of violence and retribution?
And then there's the question of suffering.
Right.
Something that ceneezer grapples with throughout their writing.
Yeah.
They acknowledge the pain and hardship that people experience, questioning why a loving God would allow such things to happen.
But their ultimate conclusion is that suffering is necessary for growth, that it provides the contrast we need to appreciate joy and love.
It's a tough pill to swallow.
It is.
Especially when you're going through something difficult.
Yeah.
But maybe there's some truth to it.
Right.
Maybe those challenges, those moments of darkness are what ultimately help us evolve and become more compassionate beings.
And ceneezer suggests that the path to ascension involves understanding and transcending hate.
Okay.
Ultimately, even forgiving God for the suffering we endure.
It's like they're saying that true forgiveness comes from recognizing that everything is part of a larger plan.
Right.
That even the bad things serve a purpose.
It's a challenging concept.
It is.
But one that speaks to the transformative power of forgiveness.
And ceneezer's writing is full of these thought-provoking ideas.
Yeah.
Challenging us to see the world in a new light.
Right.
They delve into the complexities of love, suggesting that it's not just a feeling, but a force that binds the universe together.
Okay.
An energy that transcends time and space.
Yeah. They even describe love as the understanding of hate's need.
Wow.
Recognizing that both are integral parts of the human experience.
It's not about denying or suppressing negative emotions.
Right.
But about understanding their role in our growth and evolution.
And this acceptance of both light and darkness within ourselves is essential to achieving what ceneezer calls ascension.
Right.
It's about recognizing that we are all part of something larger.
Yeah.
A universal consciousness that connects us all.
And ceneezer's journey ultimately leads them back to their own life.
Okay.
Their own experiences. With a newfound understanding of their own past.
Right.
And the choices that led them to this point. They come to terms with their own struggles, their own moments of darkness, and see them as necessary steps on their path to enlightenment.
It's fascinating how ceneezer's journey through these vast cosmic concepts ultimately leads them back to their own life. You know, their own experiences. They start to see their past struggles, their moments of darkness in a whole new light.
Yeah, like they've come full circle, right? Explored the universe, encountered incredible beings, grappled with these really profound ideas.
Right.
And it all brings them back to a deeper understanding of themselves.
Exactly. They even revisit their past attempts at suicide.
Wow.
Not as failures, but as explorations of the boundaries of consciousness. It's like they were trying to transcend the limitations of their physical form, break free from the constraints of this reality.
It's a pretty radical perspective, but it speaks to the depth of their journey, right? Their willingness to explore even the darkest corners of their own being.
Yeah.
And in the end, ceneezer comes back with a message of hope and possibility. They remind us that even when we feel lost and alone, there's a force connecting us all.
That force, that underlying current running through everything is love. And it's not just a fleeting emotion. It's this powerful energy that transcends time and guides us towards understanding.
It's like they're saying that love is the answer, even when we can't see it.
Yeah.
You know, even when we're surrounded by darkness.
Right.
But it's not a passive love. It's an active force that requires us to participate, to engage with the world, to embrace both the light and the shadow.
And that's the challenge ceneezer leaves us with, right? To look within, explore our own darkness, embrace our own light, recognizing that both are essential parts of who we are.
It's an invitation to embark on our own journey of self-discovery and spiritual growth.
Exactly. It's like they're saying, hey, you've heard my story now, go write your own.
And I think that's what makes this deep dive so powerful.
Yeah.
It's not just about understanding Caesar's ideas.
Right.
It's about using them as a springboard
Yeah.
for our own exploration, our own search for meaning.
So if love is truly this force that binds the universe, transcends time, what does that mean for your personal journey? What role does love play in your life, and how can you cultivate more of it? These are questions worth pondering.
They really are. Caesar's writing gives us a glimpse into a unique and complex worldview. But ultimately, it's up to each of us to find our own answers.
Yeah.
To explore these concepts, to see how they resonate with our own experiences, and to see where our own journey of discovery takes us.
Because the universe is full of wonder and possibility, and the answers we seek are often closer than we think. Sometimes it just takes a little deep dive to uncover them.
And that's exactly what we've done today. We've taken a deep dive into Caesar's mind, explored their unique perspective on love time and the universe. And hopefully you've come away with some new insights, some thought-provoking questions, and maybe even a little bit more hope for the future.
Because in the end, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Finding meaning, connection, and ultimately a little bit more love in our lives. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.